A man stands in the center of a crowded plaza, surrounded by thousands, yet he is the only one truly alone. He is not visibly suffering. He is not screaming or protesting. He is merely standing there, utterly unmoved by the frantic, choreographed dance of the others. He has removed the mask, the persona that society required him to wear, and now he is simply himself. And the moment this genuine self is revealed, the crowd does not cheer. They recoil. They do not celebrate his freedom. They treat him like a structural failure, a flaw in the collective mechanism, a piece of machinery that has irrevocably broken down. This is the unsettling paradox that lies at the heart of the deepest psychological insights offered by Carl Jung. Why does the world, a world that ostensibly prizes liberty and authenticity, inevitably categorize the psychologically free man as damaged? Why is the soul who has achieved true individuation often labeled as alienated, dysfunctional, or most terrifyingly, broken? This narrative explores the shadow cost of self-possession and the systemic, often malicious resistance the collective offers to the individual who refuses to remain enslaved by the unconscious expectations of the masses. Before we descend into the structure of this paradox, tell me right now, from what city are you witnessing this inevitable societal tension? I want to know where the free individuals are listening, scattered across this massive, demanding world. The foundation of this conflict is rooted in the architecture of the human psyche, as understood by Jung. We are born into a world that immediately demands conformity. This demand manifests as the persona, the mask, the socially acceptable facade we adopt to navigate the professional, familial, and social spheres. The persona is necessary for function, but it is not the self. It is a protective shell, a compromise between the individual and the expectations of the community. Most men live and die entirely within the confines of this mask, believing the role they play is the totality of their being. They are secure in their slavery, comforted by the collective illusion. The free man, the man who has dared to embark on the excruciating journey of individuation, has spent his life confronting his inner darkness, integrating his shadow, and stripping away the layers of the persona that suffocated his true nature. He has faced the absolute terror of realizing he is ultimately responsible for his own being, separate from the safety nets of tradition, dogma, or mass approval. When he returns to the plaza, he is not wearing the expected uniform. He does not speak the required language of status and grievance. He is authentic, and authenticity is the single greatest threat to a collective based on illusion. Society's primary defense mechanism against this threat is not outright persecution, but pathologization. The free man is not merely eccentric. He is mentally unsound. He is not merely unconventional. He is professionally disruptive. He is not simply different. He is a deviation that must be corrected. The collective uses the tools of modern structure, psychology, corporate HR, social media shaming, and medical diagnosis to treat the self-possessed man as if he were a mechanical failure. His refusal to chase the prescribed markers of success, the larger house, the constant career climb, the approved political outrage, is viewed as a loss of will rather than a deliberate choice of sovereignty. Consider the archetype of the man who genuinely seeks meaning over money, or solitude over status. While the collective pays lip service to such ideals, their actual manifestation triggers deep discomfort. The man who willingly rejects a high-status, high-paying job for work that offers less visibility but greater soul resonance is not congratulated by the collective. He is questioned, pitied, and often gently interrogated about his stability. People look at him and whisper, "What went wrong?" They are treating him like a broken man because his freedom exposes their own terrifying lack of it. His voluntary refusal reveals that the golden chains they wear are chains nonetheless. This is the source of the subtle, corrosive malice directed toward the psychologically free. Envy, disguised as concern. The free man carries the immense burden of his self-knowledge. He understands the arbitrary nature of social rules and the constructed reality of the world around him. He knows that most people are living a sleepwalking life, driven by unconscious compulsions, herd instincts, and unexamined fears. This knowledge does not breed arrogance in the truly free, but rather quiet detachment. However, this detachment is interpreted by the sleeping collective as coldness, arrogance, or a lack of necessary social emotion. Jung often spoke of the need to resist the tyranny of the collective unconscious, the powerful gravitational pull toward the mean. When an individual successfully resists this pull, he establishes a magnetic field of his own. But every system seeks equilibrium. If the system is based on low-grade spiritual malaise and chronic anxiety, the presence of a man operating outside that frequency acts as a destabilizing force. He is a mirror held up to the crowd, and what the crowd sees is its own spiritual cowardice. Therefore, the collective must try to shatter the mirror. They attempt to reduce the free man's complex, integrated existence to a simple diagnosis. He is too intense, too sensitive, too isolated, lacking ambition, or perhaps suffering from a mild spectrum disorder. This reductionism is the crucial societal mechanism for neutralization. By applying a label of pathology, society can justify marginalizing him without having to listen to the uncomfortable truth his life embodies. They are not rejecting a philosophical choice. They are managing a clinical case. The tragedy deepens because the free man, having internalized the difficult truths of the shadow and the self, often lacks the required social energy to fight this pathologization aggressively. He has conquered his internal demons. He has little interest in proving himself to external fools. His focus is internal, on integrity and truth, not external, on reputation management or social dominance. This quiet refusal to play the defensive game is seen as further evidence of his failure. The truly free man has already abandoned the need for external validation, which is exactly why the collective assumes he must have failed to achieve it. Consider the environment of the modern workplace. It is a prime arena for the treatment of the free man as broken. The system demands that every individual be relentlessly focused on upward mobility, measurable output, and team cohesion defined by ritualistic compliance. The free man, knowing his true value transcends his corporate role, operates with competence but without fanaticism. He is motivated by the work itself, not the status derived from it. He refuses to participate in the necessary politics, the feigned excitement, or the ritualistic self-abasement required for promotion. His superiors look at his lack of enthusiasm for the corporate climb and conclude he lacks fire. His peers look at his lack of involvement in gossip and internal power struggles and conclude he is socially awkward or even dangerous. He is efficient, often brilliant, but he is unmanageable, because his loyalty is to his own ethical structure, not the organizational hierarchy. He is disciplined, but his discipline is self-imposed, not institutionally coerced. And so, he is often sidelined, passed over, or contained in a role where his competence can be used, but his influence cannot spread. He is the highly effective, highly functional anomaly that the system cannot promote, because promotion would mean admitting that the conventional route, the route of masking and compliance, was optional all along. The free man is a walking, breathing contradiction to the myth of necessary struggle. The collective myth dictates that meaning is found through external effort, through striving, through the acquisition of things that prove one's worth. The free man has often found meaning internally, through deep engagement with his own psyche, through art, philosophy, or integrated work. He has achieved a sense of peace and stability that does not rely on external achievements. This peace is perceived as unsettling stillness in a world obsessed with ceaseless agitated motion. In the modern context, where the ego is constantly inflamed by comparison and material pressure, the free man's contentment reads as suspicious. Why is he not worried? Why is he not striving for the next upgrade? Why is he not engaging in the constant performative anxiety that defines modern existence? He must be detached, depressed, or simply losing the game. The language of clinical psychology, depression, anxiety, burnout, becomes the convenient shorthand for describing the man who has simply opted out of the game entirely. His refusal to be psychologically constrained is repackaged as a failure to thrive in the world. He is treated like a broken man because he has successfully repaired himself outside the sanctioned repair shop of collective norms. The core principle that Jung illuminates here is the terror of autonomy. The individual who has successfully separated his ego from the collective unconscious. The herd mind is terrifying because he demonstrates that such a separation is possible. His existence is an implicit critique of the life choices of everyone around him. He is the uncomfortable truth at the wedding feast of conformity. The more advanced the individual's psychological freedom, the more subtle and pervasive the societal attempt to label him as broken becomes. The accusations move from simple social judgment to professional marginalization, and eventually, to subtle forms of emotional and spiritual exile. He is kept outside the inner circles, not because he lacks capability, but because he lacks the compliance necessary to protect the collective's self-deception. This is the hidden toll of self-mastery. The man who breaks free from the chains of his own psychological bondage finds that the world immediately attempts to rechain him, often with the soft velvet manacles of concern and diagnosis. He exchanges internal struggle for external alienation. He sacrifices belonging for truth. And in a society built upon the comfort of lies, the truth is always perceived as pathology. The paradox remains. The man who is whole is treated as a fragment by the world that is itself utterly fractured. This is merely the foundation of understanding this devastating psychological mechanism. The free man has broken free of the collective's cage, but the collective now attempts to treat him as a specimen of malfunction. The question is, how does the free man navigate this systemic assault on his integrity? And what specific tools does he use to ensure that the label of broken does not actually damage his hard-won wholeness? We are only scratching the surface of this profound resistance. If this perspective shifts how you view your own struggle for authenticity and sovereignty, now is the moment for action. I want you to step forward and affirm this realization. Write the words, "I choose the truth of my own self," in the comments section below. Do it immediately. Join the conversation and solidify your position within this necessary discourse. We are building a community of radical self-awareness, and you belong here. Hit the like button to signal your commitment to depth and subscribe right now. You must not miss the ensuing analysis, the next stage of this journey, where we detail the exact societal pressures and the specific Jungian responses to survive this exile. We will explore the precise consequences of this systemic pathologization and reveal the hidden strategies that the free man must employ to maintain his sanity while living among the psychologically enslaved. The next stage of this revelation is too critical to miss. A truly free man is a devastating contradiction to a world that relies on comfortable illusions. He walks among us, yet he belongs to a different psychological landscape. He is not necessarily rich or poor, successful or a failure by the common metric. His freedom is internal. He has stared into the psychological abyss of himself, retrieved the parts that society demanded he bury, and emerged whole. Yet the world looks at this man, this truly individuated self, and diagnoses him with instability. They pity him. They criticize him. They attempt to restore him to the consensus reality. They treat the free man like a broken man. Before we delve into the structure of this profound psychological prison, I want to know where this powerful realization is hitting home. Take a moment right now and tell me, in which city are you experiencing this transformation? Your answer grounds this collective shadow we are about to explore. Carl Jung, the master cartographer of the soul, explained this phenomenon through the conflict between the self and the persona. The persona is the mask, the identity constructed for public consumption, the amalgamation of social expectations, professional roles, and collective norms. It is the compromise we make with the world to ensure acceptance and survival. The vast majority of people live entirely within this mask. They are defined by their jobs, their titles, their social roles, and their predictable reactions. This is the comfort of conformity, and it is mistaken for stability. The free man, the one who embarks on the long and often agonizing journey of individuation, eventually strips away this persona. He recognizes it as a necessary tool perhaps, but never his essence. He realizes that living purely through the persona is a form of spiritual suicide. When he starts to shed the expectations, when he speaks with an authentic voice, when his actions are driven by his deep internal compass, the self, rather than external approval, the collective unconscious reacts violently. Why? Because the free man has demonstrated that the chains of the persona can be broken. This revelation is terrifying to those who rely on the mask for their definition and their psychological safety. If the free man is okay without the approved structure, then the entire edifice of their conventional lives comes into question. To protect their own fragile psychological construction, they must neutralize the threat posed by the authentic man. They cannot kill him, but they can label him. And the most effective label is broken. The perception of the free man as defective serves several critical functions for the collective. First, it validates their own compliance. They can look at the individual who abandoned the corporate ladder, the one who chose meaning over money, the one who speaks inconvenient truths, and conclude, "See, he failed. He couldn't handle reality. He is mentally or emotionally damaged. We are right to stay within the lines." Second, the free man inevitably carries the visible scars of his internal journey. Jung teaches that individuation is not a peaceful ascent. It is a brutal confrontation with the shadow. The shadow contains all the rejected, repressed, and denied aspects of the personality: the darkness, the unacceptable urges, the moral ambiguities. The persona-driven world insists on pushing the shadow deep into the unconscious, creating polished, two-dimensional personalities. The free man, conversely, must integrate his shadow. He must acknowledge his capacity for darkness, his flaws, and his inner conflicts. He absorbs them, thereby becoming psychologically whole, but also profoundly complex and sometimes contradictory. When the world observes this complexity, they do not see wholeness. They see inconsistency, volatility, or residual damage from some unnamed trauma. The man who has integrated his shadow no longer needs to project his internal darkness onto others. He ceases the constant unconscious blaming and moral posturing that defines much of modern social interaction. But in the eyes of the collective, this man's comfort with his own imperfection looks like moral relativism or lack of drive. His quiet acceptance of life's necessary tragic elements is viewed as cynical detachment or depression. His refusal to participate in the mass emotional hysteria or performative outrage is often mistaken for apathy or a fundamental lack of empathy. They treat his mature, integrated perspective as a sign that he is suffering from some deep, unresolved spiritual wound. Furthermore, the language of the free man is different. The collective unconscious thrives on superficiality, cliches, and slogans, what Jung termed the participation mystique. They speak in terms of titles, possessions, and simple, easily digestible moral dichotomies. The free man, having connected with the deeper, archaic layers of the psyche, speaks in terms of meaning, myth, paradox, and the profound complexities of existence. When the free man tries to communicate his authentic experience, he often finds that his words fall on deaf ears. His genuine insights are dismissed as irrelevant, overly philosophical, or simply too much effort to comprehend. They prefer the comfortable flatness of the known world. His deep textured language is seen as evidence of his alienation. He is perceived as talking to himself, or perhaps talking about things that only a broken person would focus on, things that have no practical, immediate social utility. This inability to engage in the necessary social superficiality is the third primary reason he is labeled defective. The world requires small talk, feigned interest, and tactical networking. The free man struggles with this performance not because he is incapable, but because he finds it spiritually exhausting and morally dishonest. His honesty, his lack of patience for psychological games, his transparent refusal to pretend to be impressed by status symbols. All these authentic behaviors violate the unwritten contract of the collective. The individual who breaks this contract is not simply ignored, he is actively pathologized. The tools of modern psychology and social labeling are often weaponized against him. If he expresses profound disappointment with the materialist rat race, he might be labeled lacking motivation. If he shows a preference for solitude and deep contemplation over endless social activity, he risks being called introverted to an unhealthy degree, or even schizoid. If he demonstrates flexibility in his identity and a refusal to settle into one rigid role, he is seen as unstable or lacking commitment. The world seeks to define the free man by what he lacks: a steady paycheck, a conventional partner, the consensus approval, rather than what he possesses: psychological autonomy, self-knowledge, and profound connection to his inner self. The world requires external validation to grant permission for existence. The free man has granted that permission to himself. This self-sovereignty is viewed not as strength, but as delusional self-importance, a classic symptom of the psychologically impaired. The true tragedy of the free man is not that he suffers, but that his attempts at profound honesty and wholeness are interpreted as a cry for help. People approach him with pity, attempting to fix the parts of him that are in fact the most highly evolved. They offer him advice on how to be happier, i.e., more conventional, how to get back on track, i.e., back onto the consensus rails, and how to stop overthinking things, i.e., stop utilizing his hard-won consciousness. This constant pressure to regress, to shrink back into the safety of the persona, is the most debilitating part of the experience. The free man faces a daily attrition of his spirit, not from external enemies but from well-meaning friends, family and colleagues who sincerely believe they are helping him return to health. They cannot fathom that the internal landscape he inhabits is exponentially richer than the external landscape they prioritize. Jung's entire framework of individuation highlights that the journey is essentially a minority report, a path chosen by the few, often to the discomfort of the many. The man who chooses to be whole must necessarily become a stranger to his environment. He trades the warmth of the collective fire for the lonely, piercing truth of the cold. His strength is internal, quiet, and fundamentally non-competitive in the societal sense. Yet, since the collective only recognizes strength that is loud, aggressive, or materially verifiable, the man who cultivates deep internal resources appears weak and vulnerable. This perceived vulnerability invites further aggressive labeling. When the free man prioritizes his inner world, he often sacrifices external safety nets. He might not have the elaborate financial insulation or the thick network of obligatory social alliances that the conventional man relies upon. He accepts a degree of external risk in exchange for internal certainty. But when the collective observes this lack of external protection, they see impending disaster. They see a man who is one wrong step away from catastrophe, proving that his different path was merely an elaborate failure mode. They fail to understand that the free man's primary fortress is his integrated psyche, which is impenetrable, regardless of external circumstances. The free man is treated like a broken man because he has successfully broken free from the collective delusion that binds everyone else. He is the anomaly that proves the rule of their cage. Therefore, to preserve the comfort and sanity of the majority, his freedom must be recast as misfortune, his authenticity as instability, and his self-possession as simple, pitiable brokenness. This allows the conventional man to maintain the illusion that he is not imprisoned by his own choices, but rather, safely following the only correct path. The free man in this context becomes the necessary scapegoat, the cautionary tale whispered in the halls of conformity. Don't go too far inside yourself, or you'll end up like him. And the journey continues, often in silence, often misunderstood, but always toward greater psychological gravity. The heavy price of genuine freedom is to be perpetually mistaken for failure. This devastating misinterpretation only deepens the internal burden of the free man. He must carry not only the weight of his own transformation, but also the projected judgment and pity of the world. He finds himself constantly having to justify his existence to those who are fundamentally incapable of understanding the metrics of the soul. He is perpetually on trial, silently defending his wholeness against the collective accusation of being damaged goods. The pressure to conform, to simply wear the mask again and regain acceptance, is immense. But having tasted the bitter sweetness of truth, regression becomes impossible. He must endure the label broken, because the alternative is to truly shatter his hard-won self. The insights we've uncovered today are profound, but useless unless you claim them. This is not passive viewing, this is active transformation. Solidify your commitment right now. In the comments below, state this truth for yourself and for the world. I see the mask. Every individual who resonates with this journey strengthens the collective realization. Press that like button now to signal your understanding, and subscribe immediately. This is not a channel of passive entertainment. This is a laboratory for building genuine strength. We are not done with this critical confrontation. In our final chapter, we will reveal the ultimate strategy for maintaining your freedom, detailing the necessary action required to ensure the collective world stops trying to fix you and instead learns to respect your completeness. Do not miss this necessary wisdom. The ultimate confrontation in the life of the authentic individual is not fought in the marketplace or in the halls of power, but within the walls of the self. This is the point where the free man, having been relentlessly categorized, criticized, and cast out by the collective, must finally choose his identity. He has been called the anomaly, the disruption, the radical, and ultimately, the broken man. Yet this final definitive labeling is precisely the catalyst for his transformation, the inevitable conclusion of the process of individuation. The collective, acting as a great slow unconscious machine, has performed its duty. It attempted to grind the unique grain into standard flour. When it failed, it simply labeled the resistant seed as waste. But to Carl Jung, this waste, this rejected element, holds the highest potential. It is the gold found in the shadow. Before we descend into the final stages of this necessary psychological war, consider the geography of this shared experience. Tell me where you are witnessing this truth. What city, what corner of the world is host to your awareness right now? Because the profound loneliness of the free man is a universal experience, yet it is lived out in a very specific, mundane location, making the struggle even more real. The final judgment of society is this: you are broken because you do not fit our mold of wholeness. Our mold requires predictability, adherence, and the surrender of your deepest questions. The free man looks back at the collective, at the millions of meticulously organized, smiling yet utterly terrified faces, and realizes a terrifying but liberating truth. Their definition of wholeness is nothing more than a shared functional neurosis. They are not whole, they are merely well-adjusted to a sick system. Their integration is a massive collective failure of nerve. They surrendered the difficult, dangerous quest for selfhood in exchange for the thin, brittle comfort of belonging. This realization forces the free man to the final, necessary act, the acceptance of the label. He must embrace the title of broken. He must stop fighting the judgment and internalize the fact that, in the eyes of the machine, he is fundamentally dysfunctional. This acceptance is not surrender. It is a tactical retreat into the self. It is the moment he stops trying to explain his health to those who have mistaken their illness for the standard. He steps fully into the abyss of his own individuality, understanding that the collective's rejection is the proof of his internal success. The world saw him fighting the current and concluded he was drowning. He now stops trying to prove he is swimming and simply lets the current of his own destiny carry him where it will. This is the Jungian furnace where the great work is completed. To be isolated, to be judged, to be exiled for your authenticity, is to be placed into a crucible. The fire of social rejection burns away everything superficial. The need for approval, the remnants of the persona built to please others, the fear of standing alone. It is painful, brutal, and psychologically devastating in the short term, but it is necessary for the long-term transmutation. Only when the free man ceases to care what the collective thinks about his supposed brokenness can he finally hear the quiet, authoritative voice of the self. The collective demands that men live in a state of partial blindness, focused only on external metrics. Wealth, status, titles, family structures that look good on paper. They demand an unbroken surface. But the free man knows that true depth requires fractures. The cracks are where the light gets in. The label of broken means he has dared to break the persona, the carefully constructed social mask, and now he must deal with the chaos, the dark depths, and the terrifying freedom that lies beneath. He is integrating his shadow, dealing with the parts of himself that society deemed unacceptable, ugly, or dangerous. The world sees a ruin, but he sees a foundation being rebuilt with materials, courage, resilience, radical honesty that the collective could never possess. This integration of the shadow is the ultimate source of his power, and the reason the collective fears him. While others project their unexamined aggression and unprocessed failure onto the broken man, he is busy absorbing his own. He becomes whole, not by being flawless, but by incorporating his flaws and transforming them into conscious resourcefulness. He is capable of greater compassion because he has walked through his own hell. He is capable of greater competence because he has stopped spending energy on pretense. His apparent brokenness is actually the sign of his functional superiority. The inevitable conclusion of this trajectory is not social reintegration, but strategic detachment. The free man does not return to the fold, hat in hand. He remains outside, not as an exile, but as a sentinel. His presence is a constant, subtle critique of the neurosis that governs the many. The collective continues to see him as broken because his reality is an unbearable mirror to their own surrender. They cannot tolerate the idea that someone chose the harder path and survived, even thrived. If the broken man is doing well, what does that say about the unbroken, comfortable yet spiritually starved majority? The free man achieves a state that Jung called the transcendence function. He has found a way to bridge the gap between his conscious ego and his unconscious self. He is no longer dependent on the collective agreement for his sense of reality. He operates from a place of internal certainty. This certainty is misinterpreted by the conventional world as arrogance, coldness, or indeed, brokenness. The man who is internally anchored is immune to the threats and rewards used to control the integrated conformist individual. How does the free man act when he has reached this definitive conclusion? His power is quiet. He does not need to argue, prove, or demand. He speaks only when necessary, understanding that his actions, his competence, and his simple existence are the argument. The noise of the world, the constant demand for attention and validation that characterizes the collective, becomes irrelevant. He moves with a singular focus that the scattered, approval-seeking crowd cannot emulate. He has traded the temporary, brittle strength of the persona for the inexhaustible, enduring strength of the integrated self. This is the ultimate reversal. Society intended to isolate and punish him into conformity. Instead, they forged him into a titan. The isolation was necessary training for internal self-sufficiency. The judgment was the crucible that burned away his vanity. The label of broken became the protective layer that kept superficial people and toxic opportunities away, allowing him space to grow roots deep into his own soul. He is not a broken man. He is a reconstructed man, built with intention and forged by fire, unlike the mass-produced, fragile identities around him. The conclusion is simple, stark, and terrifying for those still trapped in the collective neurosis. True freedom costs everything you think you are and everything you think you need. The price of freedom is the label of brokenness, assigned by those who traded their soul for safety. But the reward is the only true possession a man can claim, the unassailable sovereignty of the self. The final stage of the free man's journey is not conquering the world, but conquering the need to be accepted by it. He walks among the unbroken, understanding that their superficial integrity masks a profound spiritual bankruptcy. He stands apart, not out of malice, but out of necessity. He is the living proof that the greatest act of rebellion is self-knowledge, and the greatest act of self-love is refusing to be managed by the fear of others. His life is the answer to the collective's question, and that answer is silence, consistency, and an unshakable inner peace born from accepted suffering. He is not broken. He is unbreakable. This shift in perspective, this clarity regarding the true nature of strength and conformity, is the most crucial insight you can gain. You are witnessing the end of a deep psychological narrative, the point where understanding transforms into actionable truth. If this resonates, if the weight of this psychological reality lands with force, do not let it pass into the noise. We are establishing a community defined by this rare clarity, a place where profound self-knowledge is the ultimate currency. If you recognize the truth that my freedom is my function, write that phrase right now in the comments. Affirm your allegiance to the self. We are building the sanctuary for those who refuse to be managed by fear, and your commitment to this shared insight is essential. Do not merely observe this realization, participate in it. Solidify this understanding by joining this intellectual circle. Press the like button immediately, confirming that you value depth over drama, that you prioritize the internal journey over the external spectacle. Subscribe now to ensure your immersion in this journey of profound psychological insight continues without interruption. Your path toward unshakable internal strength is just beginning, and we have prepared the next critical step for you. In our upcoming deep dive, we explore the hidden mechanisms that define a man's relationship with his own potential, revealing the subtle errors that trap even the most promising individuals in endless cycles of stagnation. You must know this next truth to secure your freedom absolutely. We are moving beyond insight and into pure strategy. Remain locked in for what comes next.